So I'd like to start in a thoracic heart opener today. So if you do happen to have a blanket handy, this is a great little prop. You're gonna take it out the long way, roll it up. And if you don't have a blanket, you could do the same thing with your mat here. So you could roll it up like so. You're not gonna wanna roll it all the way. So we all know our bodies. Most of us are pretty tight in the thoracic, the upper body. So the fatter you go with the blanket or the mat, the more intense the stretch is gonna be. And as we come into this, in fact, you may find that you have to back out a little bit. All right, so you're gonna sit down and you want this to hit kind of like the bottom of the shoulder blades. So you might have to adjust it a little bit. You might get some cracks as you lay back here. I just got a few. Take your arms out in a kind of a cactus shape, so elbows bent, palms facing up towards the ceiling. Then maybe take your feet wide. Allow your knees to knock in towards each other. Nice deep inhale through your nose. Open your mouth, let the breath go. Ha. Feel that rush of air as you exhale on the back of your throat. Do that a couple more times. So nice deep inhale. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, sigh the day out, the to-do list, all of the things that are going on. And then do that a time or two more. As you're exhaling, I really want you to feel your hip plates underneath you melt down into the mat and feel those shoulder blades really start to press down. So we're getting this nice little gentle heart opener. And again, that's relative. So depending upon how we're built, this can be quite an intense stretch. If you are in agony, maybe come out, make your roll up a little less fat. And you're starting to find the rhythm of your Ujjayi breath. So that inhale through the nose, that exhale through your nose, creating this soft rush of air in the back of your throat. Can take a moment to settle, but we're using this breath as a tool, as a focal point to help us quiet and still the mind, help us relax the body. And that being said, you are going to be distracted by sounds happening in the room around you. You're going to especially be distracted by the sounds happening inside of you in your brain, knocking around. So kind of smile at all of that chatter. Exhale it out. Just like you're sweeping out a room. Perhaps for a few breaths, you would like to extend your legs to straight here. So it's more like a supported thoracic shavasana. As you come into that position, if you feel tension in your lower back, which many of us do, just bend the knees again. As you inhale, find that expansion of the rib cage, that lift of the heart and chest. And then as you exhale, you're directing your tailbone forward, melting into your mat. Good. Start to reach your arms up overhead. So palms face towards each other. So really lengthen, and then Bring your legs to about hips distance apart. Point your toes up towards the ceiling. So it's almost like you're doing a handstand here. And then we're going to turn this into a little thoracic curve. Let's try this with the mat or the blanket underneath us. So you're going to bring your left fingertips to your right wrist. Hold on there. Pull up on that right side. Get a little longer. Then you're going to inchworm your body off to the left any amount, and then start to walk your feet off to the left as well. So you want that right hip plate underneath you to continue to press into the mat. If it lifts up, you've gone too far. You might take your right ankle over your left ankle. That's going to intensify the stretch. Breath smooth and steady. Getting this nice long lateral stretch, this little half moon shape that we're making. I think it feels kind of nice with the blanket. It actually gives you a little support. All right, so go ahead and uncross that right ankle if you took that variation. Walk your feet back to center. Wiggle your upper body back to center. Release that right wrist. Stretch fingertips up, really spread them and energize them. Your thumbs might be pressing to the floor behind you. And then let's start to point our toes forward. I love this. It's such a delicious, yummy stretch in the top of the foot, in the ankle. Even gets into the shins a little bit, which is a hard place to get to. And then we take that half moon, that little crescent pose on moving to the right. So hold on to your left wrist with your right fingers, stretch up. Just imagine that you're getting a little longer on that left side of your body. And then just inchworm the upper body off to the right. You might not have to go very far at all before you start to feel that stretch, and then start to walk your feet off to the right. So again, you don't want this left sit bone to pop off the mat. We're not coming into a twist. The back side of the body is still pressing. Maybe you take that left ankle over your right, and you notice as you do that, where does this sensation move in your body? How does it change? Really filling up on your inhale, feeling everything contract in on your exhale. Couple more good breaths here. And then we are going to uncross our left ankle from the right, walk feet back to center. And then wiggle your upper body back to center. Stretch out, so energize the fingers. Think jazz hands here, so they're spreading. Point the toes up towards the ceiling. So getting that flexion in the foot. And then release your arms by your sides. Start to bend your knees in. And then we're just going to roll off to the right side. Press down into the left palm, then the right, to roll on up to, you're going to make your way to your tabletop position so you can move any props out of the way. So setting up for some cat-cow, which is going to feel great to release the spine. Getting into the lower back a little bit. We've stretched out the thoracic quite a bit. So again here, jazz hands, even though we're pressing down into the palm, your fingers are spreading, they're pressing evenly. This really helps to support and engage the wrist. It also turns the arms on. So we start to activate, we start to firm the muscle towards the bone. Your knees are under your hips. Here we go, moving with your breath as you inhale, deep arch in your lower back, that lumbar. As you exhale, we go in the opposite direction. You pull your belly button towards your spine. Let your neck release. Inhaling, arching. Exhaling, rounding in. Continuing like that, moving with your breath. Your eyes might be closed here. And that can be really nice. It just helps us to bring the gaze inward. If you prefer having your eyes open, you just keep your gaze just slightly in front of you. It's nice and soft, so you're not necessarily focusing on anything. In either orientation, you're just checking in. You're noticing what's going on in your physical shape. mentally, emotionally, you're checking in. You're observing how things are feeling today. Good. So as we inhale, let's come into that deep arch. Spread the fingers a little more. I want you to pull your shoulder heads back so it really feels like you're lifting that sternum up towards the ceiling. So nice back bend here. Arms really, really active. Neck nice and long. And then we go in the opposite direction for a few breaths. So getting into the thoracic. So it feels like you're hollowing out your belly. You're rounding a lot in the upper back. The neck loves to grip here. See if you can let the back of the neck really lengthen and release. Good. Inhale back to your neutral spine. You're neither arching nor rounding. Walk your hands forward a few inches. Good. Spread your fingers. Curl your toes under. Shift your hips up. Downward facing dog. I don't know if you could just hear all of those cracks I got in my ankle. I don't know how good this mic is. I'm not sure if it was amazing or horrifying. So that definitely happens in our yoga practice when we start to move things. I kind of like it. This is like chiropractic adjustments. So just explore, move around a little bit, pedal back and forth between your feet. And as you feel ready, you come to a place of stillness, and you might keep a nice deep bend in your knees here starting out. That's especially helpful if you're tighter in your hamstrings or your lower back. As we begin to warm up, you're gonna get more release. From here, start to walk your hands back to meet your feet. And let's take some little standing back bends here. So let's all just bring our hands to our shins, higher if you're a little tighter. Inhale, press your hands into your shins, so much so that you lengthen through the sides of your waist. Gaze comes forward, making an L shape. As you exhale, fold in. Peek down at your toes, peek down at your feet. Make sure that they're hips distance apart. And maybe spread your toes, lift them up so we can tend to grip here. Inhale, hands press to shins. Feel those shoulder blades squeeze in towards each other. So this back bend. As you exhale, come into your full forward fold. Again, you might need to take a little more bend in your knees. Inhale, lengthen. Ardha Uttanasana. Ardha is half. Uttanasana is a forward fold. Exhale into Uttanasana. And then release your hands down. And we're going to reverse swan dive up nice and slow. Belly pulls in to get you there. Reach your fingertips up so they're spreading. They're active. Take your arms a little wider than shoulders distance apart. Feel those shoulder blades release down your back. Peek down at your toes again. Lift them up off the mat. Make sure they're not gripping. As you lift, you can really start to find the four corners of your feet. And that engages the legs. So much as we spread our hands when we come into our downward dog, kind of spreading the toes does the same work. All right, another deep inhale. Imagine somebody is pulling up on your wrists. You begin to gaze up. Feel that lift of your heart. As you exhale, you release your arms by your side. So we're gonna just do some quick little neck stretches. So you're gonna start to bring your chin towards your chest. And again, it's very challenging to let the back of your neck release. So move in that direction. Notice as you're doing this, if your shoulders start to creep up around your ears, it's kind of a natural tendency for most of us, especially when we're like huddled at our computers all day long. So energetically reach down through those fingertips. Imagine that somebody's pressing down on the tops of your shoulders. And as you do this, you're feeling this openness across your heart and chest. Maybe observe if you've started to puff your ribs out and the booty back. Direct it down. So we still have this beautiful mountain pose. Moving nice and slow, keeping your chin tucked. Start to bring your right ear towards that right shoulder. Keep the shoulder blades releasing down. You can really energize through those left fingertips. And you're going to start to feel some amazing stretches through that left side of your neck. And I do recommend you could do this at your desk. You could do it seated. You can do this standing. Really nice little sequence to do to just help release the neck and the shoulders. We carry the weight of the world there, and there's a lot to carry right now. If you'd like a little more, right hand comes to the top of your head. You gently pull down. You're careful about that. So we don't want to apply more pressure than necessary. Good. Use your hand to help upright your head. Release that right hand down. Start to roll your chin towards your chest again. It should be feeling a little easier. Find your belly, release your tailbone. Energize your fingers. And then moving slow, we bring our left ear towards that left shoulder. Reach through those right fingertips a little more. That's going to intensify the stretch on the right side of the neck. And if you do get to those places where it's like, oh, wow, that's intense, stay there, breathe a moment, get curious about it. Breath is smooth and steady. We can hold the breath when things feel challenging. It's true on our yoga mat. That's true in life. If you'd like a little more, left hand gently presses to the top of your head. And then we're going to use our hand to upright the head. Release your arms by the side. Notice how you're feeling here. Just take a couple of breaths. See if you can grow a little taller. Maybe it feels like your neck, that cervical spine, got a centimeter or two. We're going to start to flow here. So as you inhale, arms reach out and up. Maybe bring your gaze up, press palms. Exhale, take up space. Find this sense of ease and grace as in your body as you fold in. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Exhaling, folding. Inhale, anchor down. Use that rooted feeling to help you rise up, finding lots of space. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. We have a few more of these Ardha Surya Namaskaras, half sun salutes. Inhaling, reaching. Maybe put your brain in your feet as you're doing these. So as we move through each pose, exhaling, you're folding in. You're trying to keep those arches lifted. Inhale, lengthen as you press into the four corners of your feet. Exhale, fold. Back of the neck lengthens here. Inhale. Stretch out. Get big in your body. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. A few more. Inhaling, reaching. Hopefully you're smiling here. I think it is impossible to not be happy in these sun salutes. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, lengthen. They're like this dance with the body and the breath. Exhale, fold. Root down to rise up. Exhaling, hands together at your heart. You have one more. Just moving with your breath, maybe closing your eyes. Again, just focusing on how your feet remain the same, how they change a little bit with each movement. Good. So as you inhale, keep those arms reaching up. So spreading the fingers, really energetic. Maybe lifting the toes up off the mat. As you exhale, release your arms by your side, palms face forward. Let those shoulders release down. Give yourself a hug here. Right arm crosses on top. Elbows stack, they begin to lift. If this is easy in your body, you can bring the backs of the hands together. You can pretzel yourself here, so palms press. In any of these variations, elbows are lifting, shoulder blades are releasing down your back. So our eagle arms, nice stretch in the tricep. And then maybe just find a little back bend here. So anchor down into your feet, but begin to bring your gaze up. Feel those shoulder blades squeeze to the center of the back. And then come on up. I forgot to turn the phone off today. I need to go over my Zoom checklist, stretch your arms out. And then we take that second side. So as you exhale, give yourself a hug. This time the left arm comes on top. So just being here like this, if you're tighter in the shoulders, you're gonna be feeling it. Elbows lift up towards the ceiling. If you wanna go a little deeper, backs of the hands can press or palms can press together. And then really start to lift the elbows up, but release your shoulder blades down towards your tailbone. They're going in opposite directions. Sorry about that. All right, left arm on top. Good. So anchor down into your feet, direct your tailbone down, but start to find a little back bend in your thoracic. Maybe bring your gaze up. And then as you go ahead and exhale, come back to center. Inhale, stretch the arms out. Exhale, release them by your side. So adding on here, just peek down at your feet, make sure that your second toe is pointing forward. You could be hips distance apart or slightly closer. Just kind of depends on what feels good in your body, so you can play around with that. Here we go. Inhaling, arms reach. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Bend your knees a lot, plant your palms, right foot back, then left. We're gonna take a few breaths in our plank pose. So activate the legs, stretch your tailbone back. Feel the calves press up towards the ceiling. Feel the hamstrings press up towards the ceiling. Make sure you're not pressing your booty up too high though. And then also we wanna make sure that we're not dumping in our lumbar. We're splitting the difference. So you look like a plank. Funny how that works in this pose. And then fingers are spreading here. You're pressing in to your palms nice and even. Feel those shoulder blades squeezing, that feeling that we just had in our eagle arm pose. And then shift weight forward on your toes. You have a couple options here. You can come to your knees if you'd like. We are gonna lower, passing through chaturanga. I want you to take a few breaths coming down. So see how slow you can go. Everything lands down on the mat at the same time. Lengthen back through all 10 toes. Fingertips are underneath your shoulder heads. Elbows are squeezing in. We begin to move with the breath in our low cobra. Inhaling up. Exhale, lower down. You're rolling a little bit to the outer edges of your feet. Inhale up. Exhale, lower. Inhaling up. Exhale, lower. Inhale up. Hold here. And then let's take our arms out kind of wide today. So angle them out. Get up on your fingertips like you're a little lizard. And then press into those fingertips. Maybe you can lift your heart a little more. Couple of breaths. Of course, you lower down if you're getting a big grip in your lower back. Good, bring your hands back in, so that cobra. If you're ready for an upward dog, drag hands back a lot. Elbows are over your wrists. Just peek to see that that's happening. As you inhale, you press into the tops of your hands, press into your feet, legs really active. Shoulder heads pressing back. Couple of breaths, gaze soft and gentle in front of you. Neck is nice and long. And then we roll over our toes if we're in an upward dog. Pulling back. If you are in your low cobra, you are pressing to tabletop and then making your way to your downward dog. Second one here, how is it feeling different already? You're gazing between your feet, ears in line with biceps. But as we inhale, a little bend in the knees, come to the tippy toes, look where you're going. End of your exhale, you walk forward, you step right then left, or you hop both feet through, nice and light. Inhale, lengthen. Sometimes the nice and light doesn't happen on the first one. That's okay. As you exhale, fold in. Inhale, press down into your feet, stretch arms out and up. As you exhale, hands come together at your hearts. All right, putting it all together, starting to move here. Inhaling, reaching. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Keep that, but bend your knees, plant your palms. This time take the left foot back, then the right. On this exhale, you shift forward on toes, maybe come to knees lower, chaturanga. You can stay here or come all the way down. Inhale into your upward facing dog. As you exhale, downward facing dog. Few breaths there. Letting everything slow down, making any little adjustments that you need to. These dogs look nice. Good. As you inhale, little bend in your knees, come to your tippy toes. Look where you're going. The end of your exhale, walk left foot forward, then right, hop through, or you can walk forward. As you inhale, chest lengthens. As you exhale, fold in. Inhale, root down into your feet. Stretch arms out and up, maybe gaze up. That little lift of your heart. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. Let's do a couple more of these. So just building this heat in our body. Inhaling, reaching. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Bend your knees, plant your palms, spread your fingers, right foot back, then left, lower on that same exhale. So many things happening. Inhale into your low cobra or your upward facing dog. You can mix and match these. As you exhale, downward facing dog. Neck releases, heels start to melt back any amount as you stretch those sit bones up towards the ceiling. Breath smooth and steady, slowing it down if it's getting a little ragged as we start to float. Inhale, bend in your knees, come to your tippy toes. End of your exhale, step right then left, walk or hop through. Inhale, chest lengthens. Exhale, fold. Inhale, press down to rise up. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. Inhale, reach, Utthita Hastasana, into Tadasana. As you exhale, you hinge forward, fold in, Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen Ardha Uttanasana. As you exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, left foot back, then right. Lower through your version, being very distinct with each pose, connecting it to your breath. As you exhale, downward facing dog. Deep inhale through your nose. Open your mouth, the side and breath out. Ha. As you inhale, your right leg lifts. As you exhale, shift forward, knee to nose. Inhale, lengthen back, three-legged dog. Hips stay even. Those right toes are pointing down towards the mat. Exhale, shift forward, knee to nose. One more, inhale back, three-legged dog. Exhale, shift forward, knee to nose, press into your hands, look where you're going. See if you can sneak that foot through. You'll probably have to come up onto your right fingertips. You might even have to pick that leg up and move it. It's actually not an easy thing to get. Go ahead and lower onto your back knee. If you need to pad it up with a blanket, do so. And then start to melt this left hip down. So big stretch on that hip flexor, which gets really tight. I always say this is like yoga vitamins. We should do it every day. It's good for us. Your hands, of course, can be on blocks here. I recommend that if you're really tight and if this is really intense. Then we're just gonna flow a little bit here, coming back into our half splits, and then we're gonna hold those eventually. So as you inhale, melt your hips back. You might start to straighten that right leg. Exhale, back in. Good, inhale, stretch back. Good, exhale, forward. Let's do a couple more. Inhaling back. Exhaling forward. Inhaling back for the hold. Go ahead and walk your fingers back. Hands on blocks is really good here. So for most of us, this too is a really intense stretch. The hamstring is this really big muscle on the back of the leg. Looks like a canoe, but it's tight. And when that hamstring is tight, we usually feel it in our lower backs as well. So you could have a little bend in the knee too. And then make sure that you're pressing your shoulder heads back. Find that lift of your sternum up towards the ceiling. Breath smooth and steady. All right, so let's come forward again. Make sure you're not on a tightrope here. You might need to walk your right foot off to the right. Start to direct your tailbone down, hands come up to that right thigh. So kind of still stretching this out, feeling it a little different. Inhale, arms reach up. So hook your right thumb in front of your left thumb. And then start to pull your arms apart. So you're feeling that stretch, the backs of the shoulders. I'm feeling it, the inner arm, the outer arm, the armpit a little bit. Start to bring your gaze up. Good. As you exhale, release your hands down. We're going to curl those back toes under. So you can just be up on your fingertips here. Pull your belly in. So the temptation is to lay your belly down on that right thigh. See if you can get a little lift. Take your arms out wide like airplane wings, so palms are facing down. Fire up that back leg. Spin your palms to face forward. Reach them together. Couple of breaths here. This is so hard. Find your core. And then begin to peel your chest up. Crescent pose. Palms press. Gaze up. As you exhale, hands come to the mat. Root down, so framing that right foot. Keep your hips as low. Step to your plank pose options. You pull back downward dog, or you can take a chaturanga vinyasa, moving with your breath. These are always optional. We can think that we're not doing it right if we're not doing them. Some days we just don't need them. As you inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, shift forward, knee to nose. Inhale, lengthen back, three-legged dog, hips even. Left toes pointing down. Exhale, shift forward, curl into a tight little ball, gaze slightly forward. Inhale, lengthen back. Exhale, shift forward, knee to nose, hover here. Look where you're going. Put your brain into that left leg. See if you can sneak it forward. If it doesn't get there, you pick it up, you move it. You want to just make sure that that knee is over the ankle. And then lower onto that right knee. Pat it up if need be. This can be pretty intense. And then start to melt that right hip down towards the mat. So you're feeling this stretch on the right hip flexor. Notice how this side feels different in your body, if it feels different. Find your breath. Side to side, things can look really different. So always adding or subtracting props. And then we just start to flow a little bit with this low lunge into our half split. So as you inhale, pull back. It might not be very far. Exhale, melt back in. Lunge to our Ardha Hanumanasana half splits. Exhale, come back in. So just finding this nice little rhythmic vinyasa, inhaling back. Exhaling, melting in here. Good, I think this is it. So we're pulling back to our Ardha Hanumanasana. The hips are landing over that right knee. Feels like you're pulling your left hip back as your right hip comes forward. And then find that openness, that lift across your heart. Think that eagle pose feeling in your upper body. Breath smooth and steady. Always coming back to that, always returning to that. We lose it. Good, and then we start to make our way forward. So we set up for our crescent pose. Low crescent, so directing your tailbone down, sternum lifts, inhale, stretch arms out and up. This time hooking the left thumb in front, and then pull apart, spread your fingers. So work those arms a lot, it's very challenging. Maybe bring your gaze up. As you exhale, you release your hands down to the mat. Curl your right toes under, make sure that you're not on a tightrope. And then find your belly, so you're lifting it up off that left leg ever so slightly. So we're turning this into a core strengthener. Reach your arms out. Feel your shoulder blades squeeze in towards each other. And start to spin your palms forward. Reach your arms forward so ears are in line with your biceps. You are Rose on the Titanic, kind of. And then we start to reach up, coming into our crescent pose, which is this beautiful stretch on that right hip flexor. Feeling it, this outer hip crease here in this front leg with the knee bent. Start to feel your sternum lift. Maybe you press your palms together. As you exhale, hands calm down to the mat. So they plant, gazes forward. See if you can just bring your left heel towards your belly. Step back to your plank pose. Options here. Chaturanga Vinyasa. Or you're pulling back, downward dog. They're both really good. We're gonna take a quick little child's pose. So big toes together, knees apart. Melt your chest forward, or melt your hips back as you stretch your chest forward. Slowing everything down. Begin to walk your arms off to the right. Just find a little twist here. So start to wrap those left ribs towards that right thigh. Good, come back to center. And then off to the left. Right ribs wrap towards the left thigh. And again, you're feeling that lateral stretch here through that right side of your body, the upper body, the torso. Not unlike that feeling that we got in that crescent pose that we did at the beginning of class, laying down. Good, walk back to center. Really stretch your arms forward. So much so that as you spread your fingers and press, your forearms are lifting. So we have downward facing dog arms here. We rock up. Your wrist should be slightly ahead of your shoulders here. If they're not, walk your hands forward, curl your toes under, downward facing dog. As you inhale, a little bend in your knees, come to your tippy toes. Look where you're going, end of your exhale, walk, step, or hop through, nice and light. Inhale, lengthen. As you exhale, fold in. This time as you inhale, knees bend, arms reach up, Utkatasana chair pose. It's just not yoga without a good chair pose. So your belly is pulling in and up. You can take your arms as wide as you need to here so that you can bring your elbows to straight. That's really useful if you're tighter in your shoulders. Look down at your feet. Toes should be nice and light. So this is one pose where more weight is in the heels. Most of our poses, we're trying to find that sense of evenness, but we're a little off kilter here. Good, so we're gonna do this a few times. So go ahead and just bring your palms forward. Start to bend your knees. You're gonna come up onto your tippy toes. The heels are gonna lift up off the mat. I'll give you the side view. This is hard. And then start to inhale up to your Utkatasana. So heels release down. Exhale. You're gonna feel these quadriceps burning. I'm sorry, let's just do one more. I'm sorry, not sorry. Arms reach up, Utkatasana. Good, nice and slow. Sit your booty down on your heels. Good, inhale, Utkatasana. As you exhale, press your legs to straight. Hands come together at your heart. You close your eyes here. My chest is pounding hard. Definitely feeling some nice heat in the body. Try to slow your breath down. Good, release your hands by your side. All right, so stretch your arms out wide. You're gonna take your right arm on top. Give yourself that hug again. Start to lift your elbows. And then we're gonna take the right leg on top. So you can have outer hips squeezing in, inner thighs squeezing in. You might be able to sneak those right toes around that left heel. Start to sink in. Take any variation with your arms, wherever you're at. Sometimes you fall out of your eagle nest, especially if you're a fledgling, a new eagle. They're really awkward birds. It's hard to make that fly. So you're sitting back as though you're coming into a one-legged chair. And then maybe start to crouch in. So gaze forward. And then let's just release this. So arms unwind, uncross that leg, and then start to lift that right leg up. Release down. So standing splits, your hands could be on blocks here. If you want to challenge your balance, take your hands to that left ankle. You're going to have to look slightly forward to do that. Ooh. Don't be afraid to fall. And if you are noticing this wobbling happening back and forth with your leg, with your foot especially, that's good. That is your muscles memorizing a new thing. Exhale, release your right foot to meet your left. Fold in. Inhale, press down into your feet. Stretch arms out and up. As you exhale, hands come to the side. So this time, left arm comes on top, and then left leg crosses on top. Start to sink down. Another great little variation here, if you're a little bit tighter, is to rest that leg that's crossed on top on a block. So you're sinking in, taking any arm variation. Elbows lift, shoulder blades release down your back. Find that lift of your heart. Maybe you start to crouch in. Gaze is in front of you. You're like an eagle stalking its prey. Good, and then unwind here. You might have fingertips on blocks. Start to lift that left leg up. I'll give you the side view here. So hands on fingertips is really good. This hip wants to open a lot. Keep directing it down. It's gonna open a little, that's fine. And then maybe play with taking hands to your ankle to challenge your balance. It will be helpful to look slightly forward. It's also helpful to keep breathing. Standing splits. Good, and then just if you grabbed your ankle, release. Exhale, release left foot to right foot, fold in. Inhale, root down into your feet. Stretch arms out and up. Beautiful work. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. We are gonna play with that. Just one more final variation, moving into a little peak pose here. So at the top of your mat, standing in your Tadasana, nice and tall. All right, so we are going to inhale, reach the arms out wide. Give yourself a hug, right arm on top, elbows lift, and then take that right leg on top. So your eagle pose, start to sink in. Any variation here. And then you're gonna start to reach your fingertips forward. You're hinging about halfway. Unravel that right leg. Reach it way back. So coming into your crescent pose with eagle arms, couple of breaths, you might start to bring your gaze up. Feel that beautiful stretch on that right hip flexor. Good, as you inhale, stretch your arms up. As you exhale, hands come to the mat. And then let's just step that right foot to meet our left foot at the top of the mat. Inhale, chest lengthens. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, press down into your feet. Stretch arms out and up. As you exhale, arms come out wide. Give yourself a hug. Left arm on top. Any variation with the hands. And then left leg crosses over right. Start to sink in. Your lower belly is pulling in and up. Outer hips, inner thighs squeeze in towards each other. Everything is coming into the midline and lifting up the center. Start to hinge forward. It's going to be helpful to keep your gaze forward. So keep fingertips reaching forward as you stretch that left leg way back. Rise on up. crescent pose with eagle pose arms. Maybe start to bring your gaze up. And then release hands, full crescent pose, beautiful. As you exhale, hands frame that front foot. Step your left foot to meet your right foot. Inhale, chest lengthens. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, root down into your feet. Stretch arms out and up. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. Pause here, eyes closed. Slow everything down. Enjoy that heat that you've created in your body. Good. As you inhale, blink your eyes open. Stretch your arms up overhead. Imagine that somebody is holding you by your wrists. Start to come up to your tippy toes. Probably helpful to have your feet about hips distance apart here. Take a couple breaths like this. You are a ballerina on point or moving in that direction. Good. Nice and slow. This is the last bit of this really intense work. My legs are shaking a lot. So we start to make our way down. And then lightly touch the sit bones to the mat. It might not be so light. It might be more of a plop. That's okay. Extend your legs to straight. If it is hard, if it's challenging for you to sit here nice and tall, lengthening through the sides of the waist, sit up on a blanket. It's just gonna give you a little lift. It's gonna feel better in your body. Let's bring the sole of the right foot to the inside of the left thigh. So like a little seated tree pose here. If you have a strap around the foot's a very good variation. Otherwise, we reach our arms up. Keep the length through the sides of your waist. Twist a little bit to face that extended leg and then hinge forward at the waist. So going for a back bend in the upper body as opposed to rounding in. So it feels like we can get in deeper when we do that, but we're not getting the integrity of the stretch. So you just allow your hands to fall wherever they may. If you're a little more flexible, you can reach that left wrist past the foot, grab on with your right hand. And then that's nice because it just gives you that leverage so you can twist in. Consciously shifting your breath here. You're letting it slow down. You might even need to take a few exhales to your mouth. That's just really nice. It helps to cool the body. Janu Shirshasana, head to toe pose. A lot of great things happening here. Hamstring stretch, obviously. Forward fold, a little twist, little groin stretch, hip opener. Good. As we inhale, we're going to start to roll on up. Use your right hand to draw that knee in. So ankle is underneath knee, maybe slightly ahead. Little twist here so you can hug with your left arm. Reach your right fingertips behind you, spine long, left toes pointing towards the ceiling. If you want to get in a little deeper, you can hook that left elbow to the outside, and that's nice. It just helps you to press those shoulder heads back. Wherever you're at, maybe you start to bring your gaze out over that right shoulder, any amount. Good, deep inhale. As you exhale, you begin to unwind. Find your Dandasana, seated staff pose. Feel your belly engaged here. So this looks simple. If there's a lot going on, it's a great pose. There's a lot of work happening in the legs as you point the toes up towards the ceiling. Inner thighs are releasing down and the muscle is firm there. Bring the sole of the left foot to the inside of the right thigh, so like a little seated tree pose. Find a little twist. Strap around the foot is great. Or you stretch arms up and then keep that lift of the sternum. So little back bend in this forward fold. Hands fall wherever feels good. And as we hold this, you might be able to move in a little deeper. You can grab that right wrist. Just give yourself that leverage so that you can twist those left ribs towards that right thigh. Melting in, maybe just finding a centimeter, a millimeter more of length in your spine. Good, as you inhale, come on up. Left hand to the outside of that left knee. So setting up for our twist, right toes point up towards the ceiling. Hugging here, reach your left fingertips behind you just to help you keep that height in your spine. Maybe you want to get a little more leverage here. So that right elbow to the outside of that left leg. Maybe beginning to bring your gaze out over that left shoulder if it feels okay in your neck to do so. Couple more good breaths here. You're just wringing everything out. These twists are so beautiful for the spine, so beautiful for all of the organs inside of us, and giving them a little wring out. Good, as you exhale, come back to center. Extend left leg to straight. Here we are in Dandasana again. I want to come into Baddha Konasana. I'm going to give you a couple of options in regards to how to do this. So this is our bound angle pose. We're going to bring the soles of our feet together. So if you want a more intense stretch in the groin and the inner leg, if you're a little more flexible in this pelvic girdle, you're going to bring your heels in towards your body, and then you're going to hinge forward any amount. I sometimes like to take this diamond nice and wide. I can get a little more release, and then you start to melt in. Wherever you're at, if you're close to the floor, you could always grab a block. Just rest that forehead on the block, or you could make fists with your hands. That also works. So it can just be really nice and calming to have that forehead resting on something, especially as we start to shift towards our Shavasana. Check in with your body one final time here in this pose. Are you holding, are you gripping in places that you don't need to? So yes, there is work. There are spots where that effort is tangible, but there's also places that we might be holding on that we don't need to. And then moving nice and slow here. You're gonna start to roll on up. You're gonna use your hands to the outsides of your knees. Draw them in, and then you're gonna come onto your back. Hug your knees into your chest when you get there. Rock a little bit from side to side. And we're gonna come into our Shavasana. So if you did have a blanket and it's rolled up, you might just wanna play with a Shavasana with this blanket. So you're gonna actually sit on it and then start to lay down. And then you might need to put a block or another blanket underneath your head. It might feel good to just let it release off. You can have feet wide, knees knocking in towards each other, or you can extend your legs to straight. You can be in a classic Shavasana here, so no support underneath you. So just find something that feels good. Take a deep inhale here. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, ha. And then you're gonna start to melt in here. And I'm gonna play a little guitar song for you guys today in Shavasana. This makes me really, really nervous. I'm gonna do the best that I can do. If it's horrible, just put me on mute. That will work. Suddenly it's like my mouth got very dry. Long black limousine, shiniest car I'd ever seen. The back seat is nice and clean. She rides as quiet as a dream. Someone dug a hole 6 long feet in the ground. I said goodbye to you and I threw my roses down. Ain't nothing left at all in the end of being proud. With me riding in this car and you flying through them clouds. I've had some time to think about it and watch the sun sink like a stone. I've had some time to think about you on the long ride home. One day I took your tiny hand, put your finger in the wedding band. Your daddy gave a piece of land. We laid ourselves the best of plans. 40s go by with someone laying in your bed. 40s of things you say you wish you'd never said. How hard would it have been to say some kinder words instead? I wonder as I stare up at the sky turning red. I've had some time to think about it and watch the sun sink like a stone. I've had some time to think about you on the long, on the long, on the long, on the long ride home. Let your next inhale be deeper. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, ha. Start to bring some gentle movement back to your body. So you're wiggling fingers, wiggling toes, stretching out, yawning, sighing. And staying soft and quiet, you're gonna roll onto your right side. So just finding the fetal position, pausing there a moment. Staying soft and quiet. Use your hands to help you press up to a comfortable seat, Sukhasana. Good. Notice how you feel here. See, you've got so much space in your body. The breath is really beautiful and rich. Hopefully the head is quiet. So there's a line in that song that I really love. It's like the line that made me love that song by Patty Griffin, but it's 40 years of things you say you wish you'd never said. So there's that, and then sometimes we don't say the things that we wish we did. So with that in mind, you're going to tell somebody that you love how much you appreciate them today. You're going to send that out into the world. Palms on your heart. Bow your head with a smile. Beautiful work. Namaste.